Hey, is this thing on? Are we recording? Can I get a tech person? Oh, for the love of ed tech.
Today we're talking to Travus Houghton and Jacob Baldwin, who are the coaches for the Claymont eSports team. Hi guys, how are you today?
Hey, good.
Pretty good. Like as good as can be. Awesome. At the end of a school day, we understand.
Yes.
We've been there for sure. All right. Well, we are so excited to talk to you guys today. So we always start all of our episodes off by asking our guests about their journey into education and how you ended up where you are now. So whoever wants to go first.
Let me go first.
Yeah, take it away.
So, I don't know. Throughout high school, my job, when they would ask me careers and stuff, was either computers, or it was to do something with education. And it came down to it. I graduated 2006, and the big question I had to answer was do I just want to get locked away, kind of in a room all by myself all day, or interact with people? And I went to education and I stumbled my way around, and finding a job is really, really hard. So about 3 years applying for jobs in substitute teaching, I ended up doing computers and technology at the school I graduated from. So I do web design, video editing, computer programming, and information technology, which is computer basics. So my college degree is middle school math and science, but I kind of stumbled my way into career technical digital media is where I'm at now. So it's jobs and anything creating on the computer. So graphics, videos, websites, things like that.
Very cool. Okay, Travis.
I actually graduated in 2006 as well from the rival school to this school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How funny is that?
And so I did not want to go into education at first. I actually was going into criminal justice, and then I switched my degree to an English degree, and then I switched my degree to a science degree, and then I just stopped doing college for a long time. And I didn't get back into college until about 10 years ago. And then I got my degree in integrated science over at the high school. I've always had a passion for sciences, every science, and I've always wanted to help people. That's why I wanted to go into criminal justice. And then I figured, well, why not just kind of blend both of those things and help people early in their life, help them make those decisions so they don't have to deal with law enforcement.
There you go.
And help educate them in sciences and just kind of help push kids into, being better critical thinkers. And that's just kind of what kind of fell into teaching. I didn't really start off wanting to get into it, but I think it's a perfect fit.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Helping people and yeah. So what sparked you guys to want to start an eSports program? How did that come about?
Let's say I think the year before I started,
they talked about it. It was the year before you got here. So I don't even know. It was just kind of dropped into my lap. There's not very many young adult men, I'd say late 20s, but I'm not there anymore, who relate and do the video game things with the kids. You would think there's lots of guys that are into it, but not really. At the high school level, you have a lot of social studies teachers and football coaches, and you don't have very many. One of the big things I like coming into education is my educational philosophy. I wrote a paper on it. Is be the person you needed when you were in school. And that's kind of the thing that I come back to with stuff like esports. Yeah. It's hey, having an esports program would have been nice when I was in school. So making the school that I graduated from better for the kids in my own, because I live here, my community and the place I grew up, making it better for those guys than it was when I was here is one of the big things that I come back to all the time with esports and my classes and everything in general. So that's kind of how I took it, even though it was just kind of shoved on me because I'm the guy who does computers. So it's the computer guy and the computer class and stuff like that. But that's how I justify it in my head. Is make it better for the kids who will be me in 5-10 years.
Whenever I was interviewed, that's whenever they were first starting the actual program. So my first year here was when we first really initiated the eSports program. We worked together. We actually had a couple extra people on hand at that time. But it was, yeah, just like Baldwin said, it's more like I'm in that demographic of young adult males who likes to play video games, and I knew what things were and nobody else did. So I just kind of fell right into something that I had a passion for as well with that.
I was just curious with, esports kind of being a draw, if there was if there were other gaming communities like within the school.
The problem, it just comes down to time.
Yeah.
With that stuff, because our esports is an hour every day.
Oh, wow.
Before, and the time is hard because we don't get time during the day for these things at school.
Right.
So I bring the esports kids in. They hang out in my room, kind of split off because my room's adjoined to where we do esports. Like they're connected. So
okay.
Like the esports, there's a small group from esports that sit in there and play their games if they're passing classes during the middle of the day. But other than that, time is the biggest thing. Like we're trying to do robotics, and we're in the middle of nowhere. So like when things like this happen, we have 4 or 5 in robotics right now. It's hard to get things going. Like the fact that esports pulls in like 15 to 20 is impressive to me, because they all need a ride to the middle of some cornfield somewhere.
Literally.
Yeah. I understand that. That sounds like where I grew up. My graduating class was 79, and we were the biggest class in the high school. So, yeah, I get it.
No, we get that. That's this area. They're very rural, very very small.
Yeah, which has its own charms, but also its own struggles and challenges. So. Yeah. And I think you guys kind of touched on it, but I was curious what kind of challenges you have run into. Okay, first, how many years have you been doing the esports program?
The year before
5. Yeah.
5.
It's been
5. Okay. So within those 5 years, what have been kind of your biggest challenges? I know you touched on like time.
The first big hurdle was the organization itself. So like, when I went, before he got hired, I went to a meeting at the Educational Service Center where a lot of people kind of gathered around. And a lot of times within schools, some of the ideas that get pitched are, wouldn't it be cool if, and then that's the extent of the plan. And then they give it to somebody else. So there were a lot of wouldn't it be cool if people at that meeting. And of those, I would say about 1/10 of them from the meeting started the Tuscarawas County eSports League, and it was kind of hobbled together. That's our county with the schools, and it was kind of hobbled together with like 6 local schools. I want to say I just made up a number. So
I think you're right though.
Okay, we'll go
once
with
that
it.
happened,
6.
COVID kind of happened there, but the writing, it wasn't COVID that was the nail in the coffin. It's kind of the commitment that is. So like even without COVID, those wouldn't still be going. So like we have like a group on Discord with the Tuscarawas County eSports, and it was dead.
Yeah.
Like within a year, because sticking with it is hard and building a program is hard. So like after that, the challenge was kind of finding a home, and we ended up with, I think Travis found eSports Ohio, and it's like Ohio wide instead of the local community, which it's harder with that because we don't have very many schools around. So like we went to regional competition last year, and it was a 3-hour drive, and we had to leave at 4 a.m. to get there with the kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like some of this stuff, like structure and organization, is hard because like we don't have busing, so we just found a way to get them down there.
Wow.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Like it was a leave at 4 a.m. with like 5 of the kids and get them down to Columbus to get there, because competition, I don't know whoever's idea it was. I think they were from like right across the street.
Yeah, they were.
Competition started at like 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, this will be fine.
And like our kids didn't do that great. We lost by about 7:45, and we're back on the road home by about like 8.
But
So,
we made it to
geez.
regionals.
but we made it regionals, and
So-
it was a fun trip. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Love
a
that
good
for
celebration, though.
Yeah.
Making it to regionals.
Yeah, I think amongst the 6 or 7 like districts that first started the Tuscarawas County Esports League, I think 2 of us compete in Esports Ohio still.
and the rest have just gone
Down
silent.
by the way, yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
they're still going, but who knows?
And then after that, COVID hit,
Yeah, and then COVID was
which
COVID killed our team.
Yeah, COVID killed a lot, and then a lot of that was most traditional sports weren't able to practice or do anything, but we
Should have been able to.
We were kind of able to. Matter of fact, we moved our entire esports lab from the high school to the middle school that year just because it was closer for students to walk to. And then there was some backlash in the community kind of in regards to like, well, they're just playing video games. Why are they allowed to get together, but we can't go do basketball? I'm like, it's a bit of a difference whenever you're isolated 6 feet apart still and still being able to play a game.
6 people instead of a giant crowd of people like jumping on each other.
Because there's what is basketball but that though?
I think they like tackle each other.
Maybe. We play esports. I think there's always that backlash in regards to, is esports a sport? Like, do we accept that as it, or are you just going and playing video games?
So I think technically we're a club.
Yeah, we are effectively a club.
We are a club because like when you're a sport, there's a lot more hoops and like
interesting
things to go with the school. There's more detriments than benefits.
Yeah,
there are benefits though.
But OSHAA is now sponsoring the spring eSports Ohio competitions.
Really?
So
nice.
We are
will eventually someday be a sport.
Yeah.
And like we don't know if we're excited about that or not.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering.
Still kind of thinking about what we're going to do about that. So, or what we do in that scenario.
But other than that, the only other detriments working with awkward high school boys.
Yeah.
Like they're hard socially.
Which it's kind of like one of those things that they're learning that. Like they're learning
the same thing. Like be the person you want to be. When whatever I said, I made it up. But it's like the like being the person for the people when you were younger.
Yeah.
Like I was awkward high school boy. You might be surprised to know, but it's very much like they're hard to work with. But I understand. I empathize with them. Like it's what I was growing up. So and I kind of want to get them to a certain point, but it's hard. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah, I could see that. And but at the same time too, it's great that you've given them a space to be a part of something. That's what I think is the coolest about like esports programs is people that wouldn't necessarily usually be involved in something like kind of seem to find their home.
Yeah.
So one of my best memories from high school was going to the community center and like playing like Halo LAN parties. Whenever like Halo 2 came out, we all skipped school and played together on like 6 TVs kind of hobbled together. And that's kind of what the esports room and like the environment is. But instead of like once a year, it's every day.
How did you get kids excited or like want to get involved? Because I know you were saying that you kind of have to like look under the rocks for them. Like, are you kind of tracking them down? Like, have you already pinpointed kids that you think like, ooh, I bet they would be interested? Or how did you get kids to join the team?
I think our kids come in groups.
Yeah.
So like they bring their friends. So like our big hit was that it wasn't because of COVID, because I think we could have survived COVID, but it was from the lethargy of the community and like the kids in general. Which may have been caused by COVID, but like I wouldn't blame like COVID and like separations, but that kind of killed the group and like whittled it down to like we lost almost everybody. We ended up with like 3 kids coming back out of that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But on the other hand, the coming in freshmen, them boys spent a lot of time sitting around playing video games. So like they came in and like we kind of got rejuvenated with those guys, and they brought friends who brought friends, and then a couple kids came into the district and made quick friends because with the other ones.
Okay.
And like it builds upon itself. So it's hard when like the feet get knocked out of it to get back up with it.
Yeah.
But right now we're sitting really good with our coming in freshmen. And they bring in like it's a friend group that usually comes in.
Okay.
So it's never like one random. Sometimes it's a random person, but then they get absorbed into the friend group.
Yeah, usually it's pairs that come in.
Like I think the only one person who kind of came in and then got absorbed was Tanner.
Yeah.
And then he moved in from like Tennessee.
Oh, nice.
And then like he is in that friend group of esports now. Like those are his friends in the community.
It also helps being the computer teacher and the science teacher in a school district. Like
Yeah.
you tend to get, those a lot of those kids in your classes. And then like I always mention it at the beginning of the year. I talk about it with all my students, and then usually we'll get a couple in there, and then they'll grab somebody and pull them in.
I do like a recruiting. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be at the middle school doing like a recruiting. It doesn't matter. But
Oh, nice.
for like my classes, to where I preview it for the kids, and I have a big old eSports standee banner that goes up about 6 feet that I bring that has a picture of the team and the games we play, and that usually draws attention to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if the middle schoolers think it's kind of a cool thing whenever they're coming in, they'll come in. We usually do like a beginning of the year, like intro, are you interested thing, and we get about 35, 40, which is about 30 more computers than we have. So very much, we don't get too excited about that anymore because they fall off quick.
Dwindles down.
Once they realize they have to like do something outside of school hours, it falls off quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever's left is usually a core friend group.
Yeah. So the middle school used to come around at the end of the year too, and we'd set up the eSports room as well and have a video thing, and they'd go around and we'd have them like, hey, come play Fortnite. Come play around a Fortnite real quick for 5-10 minutes and then bounce out. And then that's like, oh yeah, I remember playing Fortnite at high school.
If you like this podcast, check out our latest, Minds Over Media, a collaboration between SOIDA and the University of Cincinnati, delving into diverse aspects of media literacy. Uncover the power of media literacy through insightful conversations and gain valuable insight from esteemed scholars and dedicated educators navigating this complex landscape. Check it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I guess we've kind of talked about benefits, but like, have you seen any unexpected great things that have come from this program or with an individual student in particular? Or what's kind of something, I guess, that surprised you?
I had a really cool experience. We had a kid a couple years ago who, I want to say, started the year off with a little bit of an anger problem.
Okay.
And throughout that year, we had kind of talked to them about like, maybe we got to, think about how we act whenever we're playing a game. And like, they came up and were talking to me like specifically about like, hey, I realize now I have this issue and I want to try to start working on it. And by the end of the year, he had really changed a lot. And then he switched schools the next year. So that really sucked.
We were looking
I really was waiting for that person to come back and they switched schools. But like, there was a lot of growth with that kid during that year that they were here that was just kind of a breath of fresh air when it comes to gaming, because you have that gamer rage going on where you're throwing controllers and whatnot.
I think the only big benefit, the more like, it's not even a school teaching thing, but the biggest benefit I've saw that is an unexpected benefit is as we get more burnout and like tired of being there every day, the kids step up and kind of fill in the leadership roles. So like part of like our thing this year, we've barely done anything and the kids basically run it for us.
Oh, so, that's awesome.
Besides, they like to have a bit more fun. Like Mr. Houghton hates fun and wants them to just play to win. That's what he says. We only care about winning. But that's the only like problem they have with like the leadership and the control is like that it becomes very much gaming club and not the competition. So like leadership has kind of formed on its own without us trying. So like we have Colin, who is like our eSports captain, and he will I've described him as really much like I teach computers, so a lot of times I have kids do things and it's a lot of my blood and sweat and their tears to like make anything on the computer. But like Colin is basically like a second set of hands. I can ask him to do anything and he can just go get it done without me. And I don't have to like get the airplane spoon and like show him how to do every single thing. He can figure it out without me. And that's kind of how eSports runs is we don't have to have like any sort of structure. We can ask Colin to figure it out for us and like he can figure it out for us. And that's kind of the surprising thing of me. I thought I would be doing a lot more of the organization and the setting things up, and like we don't even set up the computers anymore at this point. They just
Yeah.
Well,
Like
that's awesome.
one day that they're like, "Hey, should we install drivers on these computers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, probably like 2 years ago." And then they
Oh
kind
my
of took care of
gosh.
it. So like,
all of our games are updated all the
yeah,
time. They always come in and update
the
it
kids
whenever they
pop in
can.
and update the computers like more than I ever would have time to do. So like,
That's great.
Wow. Yeah,
and
that
they
is
keep track
great.
of it. Like those guys play Fortnite and stuff on their own time. So like they'll
Yeah.
come in and they're like, "Hey, there's a giant Fortnite update. Can we update the computers?" And then it just happens.
It
So
happens.
the surprising thing is like once it gets going, it's pretty easy gig.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they basically run it for you. Like once the ball gets rolling, and then the big thing that I emphasize is like my role is to find the next person who will replace that person. So like when somebody who important goes away, they kind of need an understudy ready to
Yeah.
go who
Yeah.
can take the next guy and then
Mhm.
take the next guy. And then in the perfect world, like we don't have to kind of do everything.
Yeah.
So bring them back on to not having fun.
Yeah.
No fun. Only
No
fun.
No fun.
No
None
fun.
of
Yeah.
that. None
No,
of
No
my
that.
fun.
favorite comment
I
out of that
reminded
was
them all that when I was over there.
Thanks.
Let's minute ago.
the airplane spoon. I've never heard it called that, which that was hilarious.
My kids enjoy that analogy a lot in my room.
I love that.
I
The
remind
airplane
them
spoon.
that like I teach computers, so like I can get them the old airplane spoon and like get them through the stuff, and I can like put my hand on theirs on the mouse and click the buttons, but they can also just go on the like they can. I'm not a bright man, so like I don't know how to do most of the things that they're doing on the computer when I assign it, but like I can go on Google and figure it out. Like
Right.
that's the career skill that
Yeah.
comes
That
from all the
resonates with
computer
us, just
stuff
so you
is
know.
like I don't know, I can't fix things, but like I can figure it out pretty
Out.
easy. And, like,
Yeah.
if they
Find a
develop that
video of how
skill,
to do it. Yeah.
I tell my kids if they develop the skill of like troubleshooting and fixing, just getting things done,
Yeah.
that's useful wherever they go.
Yep.
Like they could
Mhm.
go be the greeter at Walmart, but if you're the greeter at Walmart who can turn back on the metal detector or make the alarm stop buzzing, you're important to the Walmart staff. Like you're the guy who can just fix things
Yep.
and
Yep.
do anything. And like that comes up a lot.
You talking about too them like playing Fortnite and stuff at home and like noticing the updates and different things. I guess that's what kind of shocks me about them not wanting to do something outside of school, because I'm thinking like they would go home and do that, right? But is it just like the accessibility of getting to and from kind of a thing?
Yeah, and then I think the big thing too is a lot of the it's hard because like deep within their souls they need the socialization,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of these guys want because like I was there whenever I was that age. A lot of them get burnout during school from being around the crowd of people all day, and like that time alone. I go home and take a nap every day for like an hour. That time alone is like for an introverted person is very important. So like
Right.
very much like part of esports is socialization. That's the hard thing for those guys. Is like that's the challenge. Is
Yeah.
working as a team and not just playing video
They can
games.
play games. They're good at
Yeah.
playing games. They are not good at being teammates sometimes.
So like when it comes to like
Gotcha.
team building, we've never had more pushback in the world than when we try to get them to be friends with each other. And like we have like our first year, we made the mistake of playing. Like our big brained idea was to have 5 separate teams, and then like by
Okay.
year 2, we realized it's like, hey, no, we are one team
Mhm.
with 5 segments, and we focused on team building, kind of a thing. And because like we even fell in that
We're
mistake.
learning. We're
like,
learning.
Yeah.
It got very tribal. So
Mhm.
like they kind of all
Oh.
separated out and like got angry with each other. Like the kids playing Super Smash Bros were too loud for the other ones, and like it gets very toxic. It's like it's very
See that.
they're simultaneously they like their group, but they don't like assimilating with other like small groups, and like trying to get the small groups to kind of mush into one is hard.
Did you guys run into, and maybe you touched on this at the beginning, the whole people being skeptical of the whole esports idea? Like, how did you kind of overcome or sell it to make it appealing for like the higher ups.
I think the one of the biggest ways, it was kind of easy to sell from what I saw, only because it's such an upcoming field. Like it's going to happen. Esports is
And
going to be everywhere, and so Claymont wanted to get their foot in the pool before anybody else did. And I would say we were very successful in that compared to the other schools in the district.
yeah,
As there's again only like a couple of us in the whole like ESC area that are actually competing statewide. Whenever we compete all across the state from our school. When it comes to like parents and adults and even students, there's tons of pushback about, you're just playing video games, you're not competing. And I think we just kind of turn away from that.
I think one of the things too, like shout out Beth Lent for everything that our technology director, Mrs. Lent, is. The entire like concept from the ESC was kind of like she pushed it hard. I wouldn't have done this on my own. I'm kind of the wouldn't it be cool if kind of like it falls to me. But like I wouldn't have started it on my own because I would have thought there would be more pushback. But the lady who I would have thought the pushback would have came from is the lady who started the ball rolling. So the fact that she started the ball rolling with it kind of she is the one who could have stopped it. And the fact that she started it going is really she is the only hurdle and that she wanted it to go. So it went.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of her idea to do it in its entirety, I think. And then she's the one who can make it happen.
So it was all downhill.
It can all happen after that. And I think community wise, I haven't seen much pushback. Like people make their little like, oh, they're playing Fortnite jokes as the kids do every once in a while. And I explained to them that like it's almost no different than like any other team sport. We've had nothing but like, I don't know, like there's just overwhelming love and support, I think, from the powers to be out here.
Yeah.
Like our football coach, Eric Henry, never had a problem with him. So like, all the people who could be an actual detriment to esports very much support esports.
Yeah, we share athletes with other sports, and so like I've talked to like baseball coaches over the past few years, like, if they don't have to come to practice on this day, if they have a match that day, we get that, that's fine. So, they were very supportive about sharing that with us. And I thought that was always a grete thing too with that. So
there's way more love and support for esports than there are like it's detrimental people to it.
Yeah, all the pushback is just like fluff. It's
because I think a lot of times too, like, I don't know, when deep down, like if somebody was detrimental to it, like look at your family. There's one of those kids in there somewhere. Like somebody's nephew is one of those kids
playing Fortnite.
And if you're going to be awful to you're not going to be awful to your own family members. So like everybody's it's a common thing now. So like everybody knows somebody within their own family, at least I would hope, or a loved one or a brother or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like some of the opportunities that are opening up for people that play esports, like we had met a girl that got a college scholarship.
Yeah.
We had one of our students get a college scholarship.
Oh, did you? That's awesome. And yeah, we were like, how fantastic. Like they found like their little home and they were able to take it past just high school. And
we had a student who got a scholarship, and then he wasn't one of our esports kids because he graduated like 3 years before he started working here. It was Noah, which his little brother is in esports. Noah went off to college and like joined and was really big in, it's a green college. I know the color's green.
What is it?
But he went off and he was part of his college esports team. And it's been about 3 times he's wanted to come in and talk to our kids about like opportunities, and something always comes up before he can make it out here, some sort of tragedy. But his family is really big into the school. Like they work with drama. Like his mom is really heavily involved with the drama department. So like,
so the community has a small history of kind of like esports being kind of prevalent in some families. And then again, we did the one kid who did get the scholarship for our school and while he was here as well. So it is really accepted and
Yeah,
open.
like it's surprisingly way more accepted than I think you would think. But also, like, I don't know, I make sure that we aren't, the esports kids don't like being put up on a pedestal. So like every pep rally, I'll tell them, guys, we're all going to go down there and like stand up in front of everybody and do a dance, and then we don't. Because obviously they would hate that, and I would hate that if somebody made me do it. But we try not to like shove it down people's throats and like force it on them. So it's very much on the quiet side, which helps the acceptance of esports. I think if we were touting how amazing Claymont esports was, and if we weren't bringing everybody up with us, like I said, I did not like when I mentioned the football thing and even bowling. It's I don't knock football because football is not worse than esports. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So like esports is in no way better than football team. It's in no way better than a bowling team. They're similar. They're basically the same thing. And it's, as long as we're bringing people up, it feels like everybody's bringing each other up in a way.
Yeah.
Just a quiet bring up. And it's very much like try to collaborate with everybody.
Thanks for listening to our For the Love of EdTech podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today and learned something you can use with your own students. You can find the show notes, resources, and more at www.fortheloveofedtech.org.
For Love of EdTech is produced by SOIDA, the Southwestern Ohio Instructional Technology Association, in partnership with Think TV and CET, the local PBS stations in Dayton and Cincinnati.